Ah, shit. Get your tea and your popcorn because we have hit yet another psychological jackpot. So, apparently, there is a beef going on between Amara La Negra and this lady. I think her name is Flo. She's a Haitian woman. And I'm going to talk about this situation from a perspective that I haven't seen yet. Okay, number one, why are black women still watching shows like Love and Hip Hop, Baddies, Real Housewives, Basketball Wives? Why are they even still watching shows like this? I thought that unambiguous black women are the blueprint and a representation of class. So the fact that they're still watching these shows baffles me because I haven't watched any of these shows. In fact, I'm not even sure what show this is. I think it's Love and Hip Hop, but it's like I haven't even watched these types of shows since I was probably a teenager because the premise of these ratchet TV shows, it can be very immature. In my opinion, it actually makes both black women and MLS women. It doesn't provide a good representation for either of us. So that's why I don't watch these shows. Okay, so that's number one, is why are unambiguous black women always bringing smoke to the women on the shows, but they're never bringing smoke to the entire industry, such as VH1, who is promoting these negative images of unambiguous women, throwing drinks at each other and stuff, and same, with MLS women, showing MLS women throwing drinks and being ratchet. So they pretend like they care about social justice and they pretend like they care about their collective image, yet they go in secret and watch shows that show women being ratchet. So that's number one, is the fact that they popularize these shows. Number two, all you have to do is be colorist and unambiguous black women will become extremely rage baited. Okay, so I've noticed at this point that being a colorist or saying something controversial against an unambiguous woman will by far make you famous. Look at Ice Spice. They called her a colorist against Cleotrapa. Ice Spice's career, she didn't fail in her career. She didn't get fired. She's still famous. Look at Ekane. She gained 900,000 subscribers on TikTok after making quote-unquote colorist remarks. The singer Rihanna became a billionaire after getting in a relationship with and having babies with a well-known colorist, A$AP Rocky. He is one of the biggest faces of colorism for black men, but Rihanna became a billionaire after getting with him. Cardi B started off on Love and Hip Hop, and she was accused of being colorist, sexist, featurist, racist, you name it. She was accused of everything, yet she became more famous after doing those things. Why? Well, it's because unambiguous black women, a lot of them will give more attention to these women. So they will make videos about these women. They will say like, oh, look at so-and-so, she's colorist. But they don't understand that that's not how you cancel someone. Cancel culture actually doesn't work. So all publicity is still publicity. So the fact that you're even talking about these women and giving them attention, there are going to be people that will become their fans. Because despite what you believe you're achieving with your YouTube video canceling them, they're not going to get canceled. All you're doing is promoting them more. Look at Chris Brown. Chris Brown has been rumored to not even allow dark-skinned women in his section or in his clubs or in his parties or something. Remember how dark-skinned black women got really upset about that? Meanwhile, Chris Brown, he has had a long-standing career for over a decade at this point. In fact, I just made a video a few months ago showing unambiguous black women dancing and stepping and doing their sorority line dances at Chris Brown's concerts. So there are a lot of people who are very easily able to use reverse psychology on unambiguous black women to popularize themselves more and to perform a publicity stunt. These women in this Love and Hip Hop show that they're calling colorist, they could be doing this. Secondly, I do not consider Amara to be an unambiguous monoracial dark-skinned black woman, okay? Amara La Negra is obviously mixed race. But one of the tactics that the black empowerment space wants to do is they want to divide mixed race dark-skinned women from light-skinned black monoracial women. I've noticed that those are the two groups that they try to separate out the most. They want to try to get us divided against each other. They want to try to convince dark-skinned mixed women that all of the light-skinned black women are colorists or that they secretly look down on their skin tone. And then they want to try to convince the light-skinned black women that the mixed women think they're better because, they're multiracial instead of being monoracial. So that divide and conquer tactic no longer works over here in the exotical space. Number three, if you actually watch the clip of the Haitian woman and Amara arguing, they were actually arguing over sleeping with each other's boyfriends and husbands. So right before they started being colorists, that's what they were arguing about, which proves my psychological theory that the colorism conversation is a male-centered conversation. Why is it that anytime you're talking about the male gaze or you're talking about dating, and especially black men in particular, because if I'm not mistaken, both of those women on that show date black men. So anytime you've got women arguing over black men, of course, skin color is going to come into the conversation. So all of these colorism talking points, they are male-centered. Not to mention the fact that I saw a video that I Am Aloho recently made about this whole situation. I Am Aloho, if I'm not mistaken, isn't she married to an unambiguous black man? So I've noticed that the main ones who get super upset to the point where they're making videos as opposed to just ignoring these colorists, the main ones who want to go back and try to cancel those women tend to be the women who date black men. They tend to be the women who prefer black men. And by the way, for all of the black women empowerment content creators who think that African men or African American men are dusties, do you think that I Am Aloho's husband is a dusty? Do you think the content creator behind these videos is in a dusty struggle love 50-50 hypogamous type of relationship or marriage? Or do you only accuse women of that when the woman is light-skinned? Because what they're trying to do when they call light-skinned women colorists is they're trying to tell other people, hey, you guys should not like this woman. You guys should cancel this woman because she's colorist. Black men, you should not date this woman because she thinks she's better than dark-skinned women because of her light complexion. Number 4, I thought that this skin color wasn't even light-skinned. I thought that this woman is a quote-unquote brown-skinned, unambiguous black woman. So what happened to that talking point? You guys love telling other women who are around the same color as her, Meg the Stallion, etc. You love telling women like that, oh, well, she's a brown-skinned, unambiguous black woman. So if she is a fellow brown-skinned, unambiguous black woman, how could she be a colorist against her own unambiguous woman? What do you mean she's colorist and thinks she's better because she's light-skinned? I thought that you guys don't even consider that shade to be light-skinned. Because every time I come on this video and talk about Beyonce being light-skinned, Halle Bailey and Chloe Bailey being light-skinned, I talked about Aaron Pierre being light-skinned, without a doubt, there's always an unambiguous woman in the comments saying that those people aren't light-skinned. But now suddenly when you want to call a person a colorist, now you want to finally admit that they are in fact light-skinned. And so this proves my other talking point, which is that light brown is light-skinned. Because if somebody has a dark brown skin tone, and you call them dark-skinned, why would a light brown person not be light-skinned? Do you see the hypocrisy? So women in the unambiguous community, they call you brown-skinned, or they want to pretend like you're not light-skinned until you say something that they deem colorist. Then suddenly you're the evil light-skinned bitch. You know, suddenly you're a bleacher. So in the case of this Haitian woman, they're saying that this Haitian lady actually has a company where I guess she sells bleaching creams or something like that. Okay, so if she does have a company that sells bleaching cream and you are so against bleaching cream, why are you only bringing smoke to this light-skinned woman who has successfully become light-skinned, and you're not bringing smoke to the hundreds of millions of dark-skinned African women who are buying the bleaching creams that are literally burning off their skin? Okay, so the bleaching industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Be sure to check out my videos where I interviewed skin bleachers. Also, be sure to watch Chrissy's content where she actually accuses me of being a bleacher. I've got multiple people who have they're claiming to know who I am or whatever, and then they're saying that I'm a bleacher. So I've noticed there's hypocrisy when it comes to this bleaching argument because, first of all, have you noticed that literally every light-skinned celebrity, no matter who it is, you got unambiguous black people saying she's a bleacher. Rihanna's a bleacher. Beyonce's a bleacher. Nicki Minaj is a bleacher. Megan Good is a bleacher. Stacey Dash is a bleacher. Toni Braxton is a bleacher. Tamar Braxton is a bleacher. Literally everyone. Name one person in the industry who's light-skinned, who has never been accused by anyone ever of bleaching themselves or lightening their photos or wearing light-skinned makeup or not really being light-skinned but trying to look lighter. So I've noticed that that is really just a common projection that people have on light-skinned people in general, especially if you are a non-white passing light-skinned person. So if you have a light brown type of skin tone, like let's say you tan to like a deep caramel or something, and then you can go back to like a yellow bone type of shade, you're automatically going to get called a bleacher as a gaslighting talking point, because a lot of black people, they're scared of being called colorists and they're scared of being called self-hating. That's the biggest insult you can give to a black person, is calling them colorist, self-hating, and a bleacher. So that's what they want to try to call you, to scare you into silence. Now, in this lady's case, I guess she actually does have a bleaching company. But has anyone ever noticed that? That's the number one insult that unambiguous women try to use against light-skinned women, is they want to automatically assume you're self-hating, and they want you to get scared as a light-skinned woman. They want you to be like, oh, okay, she called me self-hating, she called me anti-black, so let me just sit down and be quiet. And it's like, they will call you anti-black, and they want you to be ashamed for being anti-black. Meanwhile, they are anti-mixed. They're anti-mixed race. They're anti-light-skinned. They're anti-white, anti-Latina, anti-Asian. They will call your Asian mother Ling Ling. They will call Hispanic women Maria. They will call white women Karens and say they age like spoiled milk. They will say that you're going to age badly because you're mixed race. So it's hilarious how they try to call you anti-black, yet 90% of their rhetoric is literally anti-non-black. It's anti-light skin. It's anti-curly hair. I've heard some of these women say that your hair is curly and looks stringy and that it's going to fall out and that your hair is struggling. You have struggle follicles. So it's like, okay, you're literally against everything that is not unambiguous blackness, but then you want to cry and get all upset and get all emotionally dysregulated when somebody says something that actually is against you. So do you see that rhetoric of they can dish it out, but they can't take it back? So they can insult you however much they want. They can insult your relationship. They can say whatever they want. Kind of like even the Erica Mena thing. And I'm not saying I support, like, you should call people monkeys or whatever, but I've said this a million times on this channel. All light-skinned women, all of us are not just going to be quiet. I'm actually nice on this channel. I consider this channel to actually not be that bad. There are exoticals out there who will cuss your ass out. There are light-skinned women who are from the ghetto, or there are mixed women and Afro-Latinas who are from the hood who will say whatever the fuck they have to say to emotionally dysregulate you because they want you to cry. They want you to get upset. They want you to post it on social media. Because with all their newfound followers that they're going to gain off of saying those things against you, then, you know, it's going to work out for them anyway. Just like how it worked out for Ekane. She gained 900,000 subscribers. I had never heard of Ekane, and I've also never heard of this Haitian woman. I still don't even know her name. I'm not even sure of her name. So that's another stereotype. Like, a lot of people think that if someone's light-skinned or if they're mixed or something, that they're not going to clap back. There are going to be light-skinned people who hit below the belt. So don't dish it out if you can't take it back. But in the case of Amara, obviously she is multiracial. She is a Latina. So I don't view Amara La Negra as an unambiguous mono dark-skinned black woman, and I do not think that she views herself that way either. I think that a lot of unambiguous women, they support and ride the coattails of Afro-Latinas like Amara La Negra. Amara meets the dark-skinned black women's beauty standard, and so I think that that's why a lot of people are trying to come to her defense, which is fine. I mean, I support women like Amara La Negra having their pedestal. Okay, so the exotical space supports dark-skinned mixed women, light-skinned mixed women, light-skinned black women. Oh, and another thing I forgot to say about the bleaching thing. So they will give smoke. They're giving smoke to this woman who has a bleaching company, but they don't have any smoke for the Asian people who own giant bleaching companies. They don't have any smoke for the white people who own multi-billion-dollar bleaching companies. Have you ever noticed this? That they only want to speak out against the light-skinned black women who are bleachers or who own bleaching companies. They never create YouTube channels or create YouTube videos coming against Johnson & Johnson or Dove. Apparently Dove, you know, Dove soap, apparently they actually have a bleaching line. So they never make videos coming against the big white-owned or non-black owned companies. But what they do is they nitpick and choose random light-skinned women in particular. They only want to pick light-skinned women to try to call out for the whole bleaching thing or to try to say that this person owns a bleaching company, yet they have no smoke. In fact, they will actually deny the bleaching of women like Kelly Rowland or Serena Williams. They'll actually deny them bleaching, or they'll say, oh no, that's just lighting. They'll say that it's just lighting when it's a dark-skinned woman, but then suddenly when it's a light-skinned woman, she's automatically a bleacher. And by the way, another hypocrisy about their bleaching talking points. I have a question for unambiguous black women. What do you consider to be bleaching? What ingredients do you consider to be bleaching? Because the reason that people are calling the Exoticals bleachers is because I actually talked on my Paris Milan video. I talked about how I consider any form of acid to technically be a mild form of bleach. So technically everybody is bleaching. If you're using kojic acid, citric acid, lactic acid, alpha hydroxy acid, beta acids, any sort of fruit acids, if you're using acids on your skin or any exfoliant, technically it is lightening the skin. So I talked about that on this channel. I talked about how I actually did a social experiment last summer where I did not tan and I was exfoliating with different types of acids. I talked about doing that on this YouTube channel. I talked about how I tried that last summer and how I actually documented it in the Discord. So that's why they actually took that and ran with it, and now they're trying to say that all of us are bleachers. I was born light-skinned, so they're just going to have to accept that. But that's another thing. They can't accept the fact that people could actually be born light-skinned. They can't accept that fact. And they also can't accept the fact that a person could be born light-skinned and tan into being dark. They really can't accept that fact because, your fluid identity is just too much for them at that point. Your fluid skin tone identity is too threatening for them at that point. So think of women like Meg Thee Stallion. Think of women like anyone that's like a caramel skin tone naturally who can tan into being a cocoa skin tone. That's like really the most triggering because you get to pick and choose how dark or light you want to be. So I feel like those women really also get accused of being skin bleachers as well. So with the whole skin bleaching thing, they will say that everyone light skin is automatically a bleacher, or they'll say that if you use certain ingredients that you're a bleacher, but then they won't say what those ingredients are. Okay, so if you consider kojic acid to technically be a mild form of bleach, I consider any acid to technically be a mild form of bleach. So technically everybody is a bleacher in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. Do you have any smoke for YouTuber Paris Milan, who also had a company where she was selling I think it was kojic acid soaps or something like that? So do you see the situational ethics there? So they only want to call out people like Black China or like this woman, this Haitian woman. They want to call them out and say, how could you love yourself or say that you love being black when you're promoting these things that are bleaching you? Okay, so Paris Milan, who was a black empowerment YouTuber, she was promoting kojic acid soap. So if you guys tried to call me a bleacher and all the Exoticals bleachers for using any form of fruit acids on our skin, then wouldn't that make Paris Milan a bleacher? And I also have another question. Is it once a bleacher, always a bleacher? Because if you look at a lot of dark-skinned black women's channels, a lot of dark-skinned women actually make videos about how when they were children, maybe their parents put some sort of bleaching stuff on them, or maybe they tried to bleach themselves somehow. So they'll talk about how they tried to do stuff like that, but then they allowed their melanin to come back or whatever. So are they bleachers? Is it once a bleacher, always a bleacher? Or is it only when you successfully become light-skinned, then you are a bleacher? Which one is it? Which one do you consider to be bleachers? So like in the case of Megan Good and Kelly Rowland, people said that they were bleaching and then that they stopped bleaching and allowed themselves to get dark again. Okay, so is it once a bleacher, always a bleacher? We know that Kelly did do some form of bleaching at some point. So just because somebody goes back dark, that doesn't mean that they've never bleached themselves. Kelly was literally passing the paper bag test. She was literally the same color as Beyonce and Chloe Bailey. So that is not lighting, okay? Usually if a person is dark skinned, if they're naturally dark skinned, their skin actually absorbs light as opposed to reflecting the light back to you. If they have a red reflection on their skin, kind of reflecting back at you, if they have a golden reflection of light popping off of their skin, then they're not dark skinned. But in Kelly Rowland's case, she was clearly dark skinned, very chocolatey, and then she went to being paper bag color. So do you have the same smoke for her? Because I'm noticing a pattern on YouTube where people love calling anyone light-skinned a bleacher. It's like they want light-skinned black women to be the face of bleaching. That's basically what it is. They want light-skinned women to be the face of bleaching, and they want light-skinned women to be the face of colorism. They want light-skinned women to be the face of self-hate in order to hide their own internalized self-hate. Who do you think is doing the most bleaching in Africa? Who do you think are the main customers of bleaching creams and all that, and where they scrape the melanin off your skin and all that? Who do you think are the main customers of that? Do you think it's light-skinned women? I don't think so. But a lot of black women, they're trying to promote this narrative that all light-skinned women, it's just all the light-skinned women who are bleaching. That's why they're light-skinned. So it's actually them trying to erase the light-skinned identity. They cannot accept the fact that you are both light-skinned and black, or the fact that you're light-skinned and mixed. They can't accept that. They can't accept that you can tan to caramel or whatever and then go back to yellow. They don't like that. And so they're going to call you a bleacher, really, no matter who you are. Or they're going to accuse you of lightening your photos, using filters, using light skin filters. It's all a form of projection, because that's what a lot of them do. That's what a lot of them do, is use light skin filters. Or they use filters that make their nose narrow, filters that make their eyes blue. So this is another hypocrisy. It's like, if you're going to call out hate or self-hate or Eurocentric standards of beauty or whatever, if you're going to call that out, call out everything. Why is it that you're just picking and choosing, oh, I only want to pick on this one random light-skinned lady? The reason that they're doing that is because for a lot of women, they just want to be able to hurt you like how you hurt them. They want to be able to emotionally dysregulate you like how you emotionally dysregulate them. And so if they can paint you as a racist, colorist, texturist, featurist, then they hope that it will scare you into silence. So I saw that they're trying to get that woman fired. And even if she does get fired, I mean, she said that she was a multimillionaire already. She said that she actually had multiple successful businesses. If a person is starting a bleaching company, it's because obviously there's a market for it. That's why they're doing it, sis. So you got all the smoke for this multi-millionaire light-skinned woman who has this company, but you have no smoke for the customers buying it. What do you think her customers look like? Who do you think the main audience is of Love and Hip Hop? Unambiguous, monoracial, dark-skinned black women. And you can't say that it's not, because the majority of the black community in general is unambiguous and dark-skinned. So you can't even make the argument that all bleachers are light-skinned or most bleachers are light-skinned, because there literally aren't even enough light-skinned people in the black community to even overtake that statistic. And then I also saw some people saying that, like, bleachers look bad. They were like, oh, bleachers look bad and they always look gray and she looks gray. And it's like, okay, in her case, in my opinion, this lady doesn't look gray. But this is something I've noticed about light-skinned people. If you're dark-skinned and you've never been around a light-skinned person, or you are not light-skinned, you're automatically going to think that that light-skinned person has a weird skin tone. I've noticed that they try to promote this narrative where it's like, oh, she's hella yellow, or like, I saw Amara, she was like, she looks yellow and funky, or something like that. So it's like, no, light-skinned people actually can have pink undertones. We can have gray undertones, we can have yellow undertones, we can have red undertones, just like how a dark-skinned person can have like blue undertones, for example. I've seen dark-skinned people with blue undertones and gray undertones naturally. So why can't a light-skinned person have blue-gray undertones naturally? And another thing, if you think that these ladies are colorists, or if you think that Love and Hip Hop continuously brings colorists onto their show, why keep watching the show? Why do you keep watching it then? Why do you keep listening to the music of these colorists, such as Rihanna? Why do you keep buying Fenty Beauty? So I'm convinced at this point that unambiguous women actually love colorists. They actually love colorists. They love the social power that colorist women are flexing on them, because they will bow down to these women, like Rihanna, who is with a colorist. They're buying Fenty Beauty. They're still watching Love and Hip Hop. They're still listening to Ice Spice. But another thing that a lot of black women don't talk about is where did they get this colorism from? Where do you think Cardi B got her colorism from? Do you think it was the black community? Because if it's the black community, then isn't that some smoke that you need to take up with the black community? Do you think Cardi B got her colorism from the Latino community? Okay, so then why are you trying to divest and go date Latino men? Why are you trying to brag, Chrissy? I'm talking about you. Because Chrissy recently talked about how she was dating a white man and a Hispanic man. Okay, so if you think that women like Cardi B get their colorism, and Erica Mena, if you think women like that get their colorist talking points from white people or Hispanic people, why would you go and then date in the white and Hispanic communities? Do you see the hypocrisy? So they don't actually care about colorism. They don't care about colorism, because if they really did, they wouldn't try to run to the communities of the people who created colorism, or the people who teach mixed women colorism. And in the case of this Haitian woman who owns a bleaching company, okay, so if she's really unambiguous, if she is actually an unambiguous dark-skinned black woman with 2 black parents and 4 black grandparents, where do you think she got her colorism from? She probably got it from an unambiguous dark-skinned black woman or man. So once again, that's an internal problem. Sounds like a personal problem, that you need to solve within the Black community. So why is there no smoke for the Haitian community as a whole, or the unambiguous Black community as a whole, or, whatever it is that you think the colorism is coming from? Why do you guys never talk about those people? Why is it always, oh, it's just the light-skinned person and that's it? You never try to address the systematic issue as a whole. You just want to blame random light-skinned women or make them the face of colorism. Meanwhile, if it's a dark-skinned woman like Serena Williams, who completely looks like a different person, not just via bleaching, but also via her hair texture, her hair color, the surgeries and everything, Serena Williams has had way more of a drastic change than like Beyonce or somebody like that. So whenever it comes to Serena Williams, people are like, oh no, it's just lighting, or oh no, it's because she feels pressured. She's just trying to fit in. She's just trying to make sure that she doesn't experience racism. Her changing herself, that's a form of her protecting herself. So you're giving this different rhetoric when the woman is dark-skinned. But then when it comes to the light-skinned women who change themselves as a form of self-preservation or social climbing, now suddenly you want to say, oh no, but you're self-hating, so I'm just going to shame you. And it's like, okay, so you can shame, you basically just only want to shame the light-skinned women. You don't want to shame the dark-skinned women for getting surgeries or doing whatever to change their appearance. So just admit you just don't like light-skinned women. So my smoke in this video, it's not for Amara, it's not for this Haitian woman, it's really for the hypocrisy of the Black community as a whole. Because I've noticed that they'll talk about these situations, they'll show these clips, and it's like, okay, how does this help dark-skinned women? Seriously. How does it help dark-skinned women to make a video saying how much everybody hates them and how everybody's going to call them darky or blacky or black ass or whatever the lady said? Like, how does that help dark-skinned women? For them to wake up in the morning and scroll on their phone and see that another light-skinned woman has called them black ass. Like, how does that help them? How is that empowering? I don't pay attention to racist people. Like, for me as a woman of color, I'm not paying attention. I'm not keeping up with, like, who's racist against Latinas, who's racist against Black people, who's racist against mixed people. No, I don't keep up with everything that goes on and then promote this narrative that everyone hates me. If anything, I will utilize that as a stepping stone to social climb. So that's a lot of Black women's mistake. It's focusing on the colorism part and not talking about how to overcome internalized colorism, texturism, and featureism. All they want to do is talk about how everyone's colorist, dating apps are colorist, love and hip hop is colorist, Hollywood is colorist, Black men are colorist. It's like, okay, so everybody's colorist, texturist, and featurist. Now what? Everybody's a racist. Okay, now what? And also, I find it interesting how they expect light-skinned women to cape for them when they won't cape for light-skinned women. So for example, I did see that Amara said to the lady, she was like, oh, how could you promote self-love for Black women when you're like bleaching yourself? Well, if this woman truly does hate herself, of course she's not going to promote self-love, because if she doesn't love herself, that's not what she's going to promote. So if anything, that's a conversation you should be having with the self-loving dark-skinned women. Why would a person who owns a bleaching company promote loving dark skin? That literally doesn't even go with her brand. So isn't it interesting how they actually expect you, as a person who bleaches, they will expect literal bleachers to stand up for self-love in Blackness. Anyway, what do you ladies think? I am going to be doing a comment foolery exposed episode on this as well, but let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll talk to you next time. Stay pretty, ladies.